be called Mr. Judge Joe
Mr.
Brown?
is redundant. That's like
That's what I was about to say.
years ago when SAG-AFTRA wanted to get me on board. I had to pick one. I couldn't pick my name, but they said Judge Joe will do fine, Judge Joe Brown. So that's me. Official title and performing title, and you know.
Well, welcome. Well, we're going to get right into it. I mean, I don't know if you've been abreast to what's going on with me. I started with a little misunderstanding with a former teammate and then a peer that I don't know really that good with Matt Barnes. I call him Becky with the good hair. I brought you on.
You want to put childish?
Yeah. So I called them the go along, get along gang. Since I called them the go along, get along gang, I've been doxxed like no other. My family history has come out on the Breakfast Club. Jamel Hill has come out and spoken about me and then tried to have plausible deniability saying she was talking about a game. Just Stephen A. Smith saying a narrative that he wanted to say. And then now we have Dr. Boyce Watkins who inserted himself into it. So
well, son,
is there a go along, get along gang or no?
Son, when you start trending, you start getting attention paid to you. And in my generation, we'd say when somebody's half stepping, they try to slow everybody down and put concrete out there for them to get mired in when the concrete hasn't set. But if you just step on out, wipe your feet off, you know, you can go do it. It's like dog shit, you know. When you're dealing with dog shit, you know, you got to avoid stepping in it. Yeah. But they try to put it in front of you so you keep running into it. Yeah. My thing with the Breakfast Club is it's poisonous, part of this agenda of pushing this narrative of LGBT. QIA plus, whatever in the hell it is right now. I don't have anything against somebody being gay. What you do in your own damn bedroom is your own damn business. Everybody else, because you got a free
butt up to the show. Did you see that show?
You know, that whole crew, I challenged them to a debate.
You hear
I
what
said
the
I'd
judge
whip their
said?
behinds, but they won't take the old man on. You know, I know it'll be embarrassing. The old man whips all three of you one at a time. It's your option. Let's go someplace neutral where you don't ambush your guest and put all that rainbow shit in the background.
So you think that's an agenda that they're pushing?
Yeah, it's an agenda. I saw it when I was at UCLA 50 plus years ago. They started saying that they were going to destroy manhood. See, first you had the lesbians who hated men. You had the feminists who hated that they weren't men. You had the soy boy, beta boys, you'd call them now, who were white boys who couldn't make it in a white man's world. And you had nothing at that point until you started getting the anti-war thing developing in the late mid-60s. And they came up with this stupid idea that war is a man thing. So the way to stop war is to change the way boys are raised to men. And if you raise them like girls, so they wanted dolls and frilly stuff and were soft and emotional, that would keep boys from becoming warlike when they got to be men. So when you put that ballast into the mix,
telling the truth.
They started taking over. Now, a little slight history. I'm going to make it as quick as I can.
So you think that's an agenda that they're pushing?
Yeah, it's an agenda. I saw it when I was at UCLA 50 plus years ago. They started saying that they were going to destroy manhood. See, first you had the lesbians who hated men. You had the feminists who hated that they weren't men. You had the soy boy, beta boys, you'd call them now, who were white boys who couldn't make it in a white man's world. And you had nothing at that point until you started getting the anti-war thing developing in the late mid-60s. And they came up with this stupid idea that war is a man thing. So the way to stop war is to change the way boys are raised to men. And if you raise them like girls, So they wanted dolls and frilly stuff and was
Y'all
soft
need
and
to listen.
emotional. That would
Listen
keep
up.
boys from becoming warlike when they got to be men. So when you put that ballast into the mix, they started taking over. Now, a little slight history. I'm going to make it as quick as I can. Late 60s, color TV was bankrupting the major movie studios, Paramount, Warner Brothers, uh, MGM, and such like. And they started firing executives to bring people in to get new ideas.
Wow.
See, at that time, if you were an adult, it cost you 50 cents to go to your local movie theater. And every Thursday and Sunday, they had 2 new
Y'all need
movies,
to listen.
Man.
3 cartoons, and some features. So you could walk in anytime you wanted to
For 50 cents.
and
Wow.
see what you would be seeing, and then see the whole thing, and then sit through what you missed or keep sitting there.
Yeah.
And no matter how big a hit the movie was, every Thursday and Sunday they changed and had 2 more. So the studios are making like 120, 250 movies a year, and they all had the same cast of stars that were in every movie. Well, what they came up with was 2 things. They had these young, bright folk that were part of this crew that is going to destroy masculinity.
Okay.
And they said, wow,
Listen up.
we have a market. Let's go after the black folk down at the bottom who are getting neglected. They have money to spend. And if we come up with what we term blaxploitation movies, they'll come out. So the way to come out is appeal to the lowest common denominator. So let's glorify the pimps, hoes, drug dealers, thugs, bank robbers, gangsters, and everything else.
Makes sense. Oh.
And they started doing that, and they started glorifying dysfunction. And I heard them discussing this. They said, we need to start with 2 things. The black woman was the role model because she controlled her men the way they looked at it. And 2, if we start experimenting on black males in trying to see if we can take them down a notch. So instead of I'm black and I'm proud, Ungawa, black power, afro, and a beard, jeans, fatigue jacket, and ready for the revolution, they came out with Superfly in 1971, 72, where this dude's got processed heads, driving a pimp mobile, selling drugs, and they make him a hero. They had Black Caesar with Fred the Hammer Williams, and that plot was he was a major drug dealer who was trying to become the only drug dealer, and he was killing and assassinating a whole lot of people. He became the hero, driving off in the limo into the sunset, smoking a big Cuban cigar. And see, they started doing that. Well, when you get this mix rolling, they also had another thing too, which was, let's take over the political parties. And you used to hear them on campus talking this nonsense all the time, where they'd get into the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. And the thing was, the Republican Party would work behind the scenes, or at least the ones that got in there. And in the Democratic Party, they'd be the voice. So from time to time, they would deliberately cause a lot of confusion. And when they caused a lot of confusion, then they could work behind the scenes and nobody would see. So slowly, they ran this propaganda. And the best propaganda engine in the whole world was doing it. I mean, even Adolf Hitler and Heinrich Himmler and Goebbels for the Nazis said, we have to model what we do on the American entertainment industry because it gets in so many people's heads, and we need to copy that methodology.
Oh.
Now, they did this, and for 50 years, they have propaganda glorifying dysfunction. Now, if you want to see the contrast from 1920 to 1940 is 20 years. That's the only time the Nazis had to work. This same group, using the methodology that the Nazis based theirs on, had 50 years, not 20. So we think in terms of their narrative with such foolish shit as toxic masculinity. That's not a word. Okay. Homophobic. That's not a word. That's only 10 years old, you see. And the word, for example, for that one is heterophobia, which is the opposite,
Listen
which
up.
is for several hundred years, gay folk had to deal with being lynched, mutilated, beat up, jacked up, fired, thrown in jail, ostracized, all kinds of stuff. So one of the propaganda
Wow.
techniques that is very effective that the Nazis knew is flip the script. Accused your enemy of being like you or doing what you do. So they're heterophobic and they flip the script to homophobic. For example, you can find old dictionaries, they've got heterophobic, but they don't have homophobia in there. But now, if you type it into an iPhone, heterophobia is red underlined because they don't recognize it as a word. But homophobic, they'll put up a rainbow. You get that little emoji popping up. That's the flipping of the script. All right. And when they start getting you thinking this way, toxic masculinity. See, what they call toxic masculinity is
Y'all
the
need to
absence,
listen.
because that's where you come
Listen
in. Where
up.
I come in is we're trying to deal with imposing masculinity,
Wow.
because masculinity is a set of standards inputted into a boy so long, so often, so hard that when he becomes a man, it is innate in his character. And that's about making where you live a better, safer, more secure place filled with economic prosperity, sense of purpose, morality, and ethics, where you dedicate yourself to public peace, dignity, and order. And you are a man of peace who can be violent and brave and courageous when necessary. You see, that's what men do, where the little women and children get in the lifeboat first when the damn Titanic is going down. So they try to destroy that. And by destroying it, they translating get a chance to get their freak on in legitimacy. Now, see, homosexuality is distinguished from this LGBT stuff. Now, I employed some gay folks, still got one or two on the payroll, and they look at this stuff as a cult. And if I can explain, all right, I'm straight, I'm heterosexual. But when I see Lizzo, the lizard hippo, with her bare, fat, flabby ass trying to twerk in public, looking like a damn harlot in front of children, see, that's not right. When I look at Cardi B, who is a street walking hoe who brags about how she used to drug her tricks so she could rob them.
Yeah, she did say
And see,
that.
that kind of thing put up as an exemplar of heterosexuality and normalcy. That is not normal. Something's wrong with it. Okay, a homosexual who is taking care of his business and his bedroom freak is his own business is different from some damn fools with a gay pride parade with nothing on but some leather chaps and their bare asses and dicks hung out with a bunch of children looking at them. See, there is a difference. In other words, keep your business to yourself. We don't know what the hell you're up to. And a lot of that is hooked up in self-hate. Now, see, black folk back in the 60s, we came to recognize that we had been victimized by a long period of negative imagery, so we hated ourselves. Everybody wanted to be white. Press their hair, conk their hair. That's that process. And Malcolm said that best way I've heard it, processed head equals a processed mind. But anyway, we were in I'm black and I'm proud. Now you've got this group who is deep off into personal self-hate. They hate what they are. They hate what they want to be. So they have taken a nihilistic approach and they have screwed up everything that's supposed to be of value. See, instead of being brave and courageous, it's all right to be a friend and be a coward. Instead of, well, hell, they couldn't get away with anything else but that. McFly in Back to the Future 35 years ago, what is it? He goes back in time. His daddy is there getting punked out by this bully, and where the kid comes from, this bully's still bullying daddy. So he gets daddy to screw up his nerve. Daddy busts the bully in the mouth on prom night, knocks him out, actually. And when he gets back, the bully works for daddy. He's daddy's flunky. See, that stand up to a bully is part of being a man. You have to learn how to deal with that. You know, I'm gonna get my ass whipped, but I'm gonna bust this MF in his mouth, you know. And maybe the next time or somebody else, he doesn't want to get busted in his mouth, even if he winds up whipping me. Now, oh my God, we have to bring in the police and the teachers and the parents to stop all of this horrible bullying. Oh, it's just so awful. And then, oh my God, we have to stop this online bullying. Oh, he's going to kill himself if he turn the goddamn thing off. And you see Twitter, Facebook, Instagram are perverting the First Amendment. You can't say stuff if it makes some jackass feel uncomfortable. And then
I don't even watch TV.
Well, see, here's the thing that's bad about that. If you complain about somebody doing you that way, like on Twitter, you can say the N-word all you want. You can put child pornography, pedophilia. You can put full frontal, 3 dicks up her ass, and suck it 2 more.
See, I'm not on Twitter. See, I don't know Twitter.
But you can't say something like, we've got a situation where we've got some pink panty wearing fascists who are trying to subvert the First, Second, Fourth, Fifth, and Sixth Amendments and down manhood and womanhood, because Zeke Heil, this is something where we're going to have to stiff arm salute the rainbow flag and read Mind Überganger, which is my conversion, you know. And that is supposed to be something that is horribly offensive, but you can say in all you want, and you can talk about toxic masculinity or some chauvinist pig or whatever it may be. That's okay. See, because it's directed propaganda, there's a narrative. And the people that control Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, they're deep off into the rainbow, which is their business. But we fall for some more stupid propaganda, which is it's private, so they can do what they want. Well, what about the poor private guy in Colorado who, against his religious scruples, was forced to bake a cake for a gay couple he didn't even know? All right. How about when they took Trump in about 3 years ago because he was blocking these fools that were trying to troll him when he was posting, and he wisely did not go any further. He let it go to the Court of Appeals. And what happens is they said he had to unblock them because it was a public forum and these people had a right to exercise their First Amendment rights. So that's still standing, which means Twitter, Instagram, Facebook should be busted on a class action for not functioning properly as a public utility and attempting to monopolize the airways, which are licensed. They have to have a license to do what they do. So when they take this public license, they've got an obligation to the public, and they become a public utility. People used to ask me all the time, Judge, what's wrong with the criminal justice system? Why is it so broke? Why doesn't it work? I said, well, it's working fine. It's just doing something else. See, all of this nonsense about leave it to private enterprise to solve everything. Well, private enterprise is out to make a profit. That's what they're doing. They're not out there to be doing good. And what happens is, due to industrial technology and computerization, a whole lot of ordinary people have been made obsolete. Now, the United States happens to be the only industrial country in the world that does not have a concerted government program to deal with changing that obsolescence of the worker who has been displaced by technology and training him to get an equal job in terms of income, doing something else or being able to do more. So we have a lot of surplus labor. that is no longer necessary for the
Y'all need to
market.
listen.
So labor is a commodity
Listen
like wheat,
up.
corn, or cotton. And when you have a glut, you do three things: cut back
Wow.
production, subsidize and produce, or store the surplus.
Mm-hmm.
The surplus labor is stored in a jail cell instead of a grain silo. The subsidy is the public assistance check of one form or another. And the cutting back of production, the glorification of dysfunction. So the would-be labor units drop out, bang out, drug out, get knocked up too early, too often, develop inappropriate attitudes, lifestyles, worldviews. They don't have any vocational skills. They don't have any educational preparation. They're useless. And you have essentially another negative because the public assistance
Y'all need to
goes to
listen.
the female because of a lot
Listen
of
up.
states, an able-bodied man is not eligible for any kind of public
Wow.
assistance except unemployment.
Mm-hmm.
And he has to have worked long enough to get that. And he's only entitled to so much. Meanwhile, back in the Johnson administration in the 60s, they came up with a concept that was
Y'all need
good,
to
the
listen.
safety net, but what they wound up
Listen
is
up.
having a distinctive class of women who became welfare dependent.
Wow.
They got bigger checks the more babies they had, and the check was not going for the babies, it was going for them.